Guys all remember this little lion cutie patootie from earlier this year or at the end of last year during those goofy ass House committee meetings on January 6th, where she told this harrowing tale about Trump hopping in the back of a limousine that wasn't at the place where he was supposed to be, commandeering the wheel in order to get down to the Capitol building, and all of that stuff being 1000% true. Well, now she's put out a new book because, of course, that's always how these schemes end up going. I don't know who did this cross-eyed portrait, and she had the audacity to put that as the cover, but I'd imagine that was probably somewhere involved with the money laundering scheme. In case you don't know, when it comes to politics, one of the easiest way to pay people off is book advance, because nobody's gonna buy this shit, okay? Like, Ron DeSantis had a book out there. Nobody fucking bought that shit, and then he ended up miraculously announcing for a run for presidency in 2024, and he had the entire staff of all of the old neocon guards end up, running his campaign directly into the ground. And Hunter Biden had his book deal as well, and how well did that one track? I'm sure it was a New York Times bestseller. They can go ahead and manipulate that. Meanwhile, Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life and then 12 more rules for life will never get New York Times bestseller certification, even though they're some of the best-selling books of the entire decade. But that's kind of the open secret. So she goes down there, obviously perjures herself, and because she's an attractive white woman who's just speaking truth to power, and by truth to power you mean just denigrating the Donald Trump portion of things. She just gets off with all of this stuff scot-free in order to just write a few more defamatory claims down in a book that'll hopefully sell to 2,800 people that give a fuck about it in Washington, D.C. And the latest thing is Cassidy Hutchinson describes what Trump told his chief of staff in private in a lawless White House. I don't want people to know we lost Mark. This is embarrassing. Oh my God. And then also there was another story that Mark Meadows would get drunk on White Claws, not knowing that there was any alcohol in them. Are we sure that wasn't Cassidy Hutchinson's drink of choice, because she is a 20-something-year-old white girl who has the propensity to go woo whenever there's a good party? I would imagine she just looks the type. Former White House aides Cassidy Hutchinson wrote in her new book that former boss, President Donald Trump, admitted to the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, that he lost the 2020 election. I know, right? Because Joe Biden is... well, he's there. I would say the president, but, I'm sure that there's other people behind the scenes that are actually making the presidential decisions. But he is the figurehead in the White House right now. Like it or not, that's what it is. She also held Meadows largely responsible for giving Trump false hope as he tried to overturn the election loss. Yeah, it was always going to be a long shot in order to seek relief through the courts. Imagine that. Hutchinson wrote that after the Supreme Court declined to hear Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's bogus lawsuit. No, they had some very good points that were in that. Christ almighty, I'm pretty sure that one is still up on the channel. It's definitely over on Rumble as well. But it involved, 13 states? A whole bunch more states were signing on that one, and then the Supreme Court looked at that and go, yeah, we ain't touching that with a 25-foot pole. It was against Pennsylvania, Arizona, I think it was Wisconsin and Georgia. But yeah, 4 swing states. President Joe Biden had one. Wanted to put scare quotes around that, but whatever. We didn't. Sorry. We make more calls. We needed to do more. We can't let this stand. Hutchinson quotes Trump as saying, I don't want people to know we lost Mark. This is embarrassing. Figure it out. Okay, cool. So Trump thought he won 2020. Yeah, I think that was pretty patently obvious by the amount of legal challenges, what he continues to say on the campaign trail, why there's a big push for election integrity going forward, and why the establishment's like, shut up, we don't want to talk about 2020 because, well, we're just kind of prepping for that fucking loss because now the polls, or in 2024, because now the polls look like, wow, Trump is really polling outside of the margins of fraud right now, even in Democratic-leaning polls, which is probably why there's going to be more legal action moving in the very near future. Thought I heard something about an Arizona indictment coming down probably soon-ish, but we'll see. Hutchinson said that Meadows, her boss, was regularly burning documents in the fireplace. Wow, that's awfully defamatory. She recalled former Representative Dennis Nunes asking how often is he burning papers when a Meadows office smelled smoky before a meeting. Probably going to come out that Mark Meadows didn't even have a fireplace in his office. Mark doesn't need to burn anything else. All of his suits smell like a bonfire, Debbie Meadows reportedly said to Hutchinson. Why would his wife, I'd imagine it's probably his wife, I'm just going off of the last name, why would she be talking to this, apparently, like, she's just written herself. This sounds like an OC in a fanfic. Like, she's just writing herself into the most important things that have ever happened in the Trump White House. Meanwhile, everybody's like, yeah, she was an awfully good, coffee fetcher. Like, I don't know who the fuck this bitch is. She tried to get a job in Mar-a-Lago and Trump ended up turning her down after the presidency, so now she's just on this whole vendetta tour. Mrs. Meadows was referencing how the wood fireplace made the office smell smoky, and we often started it using old newspaper. It was nothing to do with documents, the spokesperson told CNN. Throughout the book, Hutchinson characterizes Meadows as a devout servant to Trump. He recalled that Meadows once asked her, "Will you take a bullet for him after the 2020 campaign rally? Would it be in the leg?" Hutchinson said, that she joked, "Yeah, okay, whatever, bro. I don't really care about that because your credibility has been sus for a very long time, because I still remember your goofy ass story that you told to Congress when everybody's like, wow, that's so stunning and brave," until it's like, yeah, you said that Trump tried to commandeer the beast. The beast wasn't there that day. That was the presidential limo. That's a code name for that one. It was just simply SUV personnel. And then it was eventually revised to, I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. And that the Forrest Gump of Trump's White House, might have gotten a few things incorrect, but now that we have her actual words in black and white, Cassidy Hutchinson text messages contradict her testimony that her former lawyer instructed her to lie to the January 6th committee. Wow, imagine that. And what's going to end up coming from that? Probably fuck all. Former aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Cassidy Hutchinson. Okay, yeah, so she was an aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Why does she know so much about Trump? Like, okay, Mark Meadows as the chief of staff is pretty inexorably linked to Trump. Like, he'd be around fairly often, but if you're one of many aides, you wouldn't be that close all the time. Like, again, this bitch is just inflating her role, kind of like her lips for all of her interviews that she's doing on cable news recently. Testified before the January 6th House Select Committee in 2022. Okay, so it was at the end of last year, right? That Trump tried to grab the steering wheel of the Beast limo on January 6th. And just this week, oh, right, fuck, she was making allegations that Rudy Giuliani groped her. Again, I'm sure that definitely happened while backstage during a rally at the Ellipse on the same day. Remember when Rudy Giuliani was also trying to hit on some chick on the set of Borat 2? Remember how those allegations came and went? Oh, what was that? All during 2020 in order to paint Trump and his allies look like total creeps. Weird how that happened and nobody cared. She was counseled in her testimony before her January 6th House Select Committee by attorney Stefan Passatino, who said that he advised her to be honest and forthright in her that was May 2022. Oh, time does some weird things when you cover liars all the time. She hired attorney Jody Hunt, who counseled her for her June 20th, 2022 deposition before the House. That didn't stop MSNBC's Andrew Weissman from tweeting out to his 320,000 followers that Hunt also is Cassidy Hutchinson's good lawyer, not the one who coached her to lie. What the fuck? Yo, bro, you're not supposed to let the cat out of the bag like that. And he is the guy who took notes of Trump saying when Mueller was appointed, quoting him as saying, "I'm fucked," is a reference to Hunt having been subpoenaed by Fulton County, Georgia DA Fannie Willis in the RICO case against Trump and 18 co-defendants. Oh, okay, so in his vim and vigor of, oh my God, Trump, oh my God, they got him on RICO, oh my God, and he also got one of the other, they got all of the different lawyers that are going to be down there, including another lawyer that also helped Cassidy Hutchinson lie. Like, that's going to be so great. You got all of the Trump. Oh my God, the walls are finally closing. And we finally got him this time, guys. He's not going to run in 2024. This is going to be so fantastic. Oh my God. Man, I got disproportionately dizzy by doing that little joke right there. Hopefully it was worth it. Probably wasn't. Among the evidence provided, they cite that Hutchinson's lawyer had advised the witness that the witness could, in certain circumstances, tell the committee that she did not recall facts when she actually did recall them. Yeah, exactly. If you're not too clear on the details, like if you don't remember which specific person was at a specific point, yeah, you could just say, I don't recall that. My memory's a little hazy on those details. Like, you can be opaque with your descriptions, but if they're asking for anything specific, like, okay, who was standing 6 feet to the right, who's standing 6 feet to the left, if you can't nail down anything specifically, then you just say, yeah, I don't recall. Like, that's totally fine, okay? That's what happens all the time. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that so far. They further claim that her lawyer, who at the time in question was Pasatino, advised her to say that she doesn't recall an event that she does recall. Further, the report states that Hutchinson advised him to not share any information regarding her testimony to the press. Well, yeah, exactly. That also, okay. And another reason why, the federal case against Trump, the classified documents case is a little bit sketchy as well. That violates the lawyer-client confidentiality clause that is enshrined by the United States Constitution. And that right there is also a similar amount of client privilege being betrayed there for a second. So that's not great. The text messages revealed in the lawsuit Pasatino has levied against Weissman. Shows that, as does Hutchinson's other testimony, that she believes he did not tell her to lie at any point, and that she herself did not want to comply, but her attorney instructed her to. The message further revealed that Hutchinson had a plan to leak details of her testimony to the press because she feared the January 6th House Special Committee, not her lawyer, would leak them to the press. Oh yeah, exactly, because that was just a big clout-chasing effort that, realistically, outside of a couple of spurgs that just seem to remember just about everything when it comes to politics, doesn't really care. It's like, that was the thing that happened. They had a primetime event and they had a well-edited video that made January 6th look like the 9/11 Part 2 with more damage and chaos this time around. But it said, it's even worse because this is the most awful thing to have ever happened to the hallowed halls of Congress, and never before has there been another flag fly in these hallowed halls in the old Stars and Stripes, until Zelensky came down and it was Kamala Harris and stupid ass Nancy Pelosi held up a Ukrainian flag. Yeah, no, that one's totally fine though. Yeah, we let them through the front door, and they made out with way more money than any of those January 6th trespassers did when they helped clean up some of the mess in the aftermath. However, Weissman's assertion that Pasatino coached his client to lie has been directly contradicted by the client herself. In a lawsuit filed on Friday by the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, Pasatino takes aim at Weissman for his allegations. To support his case, he offers text messages from Hutchinson that were sent to a friend at the time of her first deposition on the January 6th House Committee. The lawsuit reveals that in contemporaneous text messages to a close friend, Miss Hutchinson has admitted that while she did not want to cooperate with the Select Committee, Mr. Pasatino encouraged her to do so. To her friend, she writes, "But I don't want to comply. Stefan wants me to comply." Her friend asks what happens if she doesn't comply with the committee. Well, then you'd end up like Steve Bannon, of course, thrown in jail because he didn't adhere to a subpoena, something that hadn't been enforced since the fucking Gerald Ford administration. But sparsely does it ever happen to people. But to which Hutchinson reply, "I'm so ducking, I should be fucking done with this shit. I don't have it in me." Or does she even censor herself in her text messages? What a bitch. Yeah, I'm ducking. So I'm ducking, done with this shit. Oh, she did put shit. Oh my god. But autocorrect, I'd imagine, probably put ducking in there. Stefan wants me to wait until my depot. I have to go in person next Tuesday. He doesn't think the committee will leak it. They promise they won't, but I don't trust them. And I want it to be my/our narrative, and that's out there first. Oh, okay, cool. So she's going to go down there and give a narrative. Not the truth, just the narrative. I would have a statement locked and loaded, and if a reporter comes to you about testifying for comment, it would be in your favor. I would call your favorite reporter and tell them this immediately, and with this and with your comment, I think I want to give it to Maggie or Betsy Swan. Maggie, oh, no, there's a Maggie that works for the New York Times or something like that. She's one of them girls. Betsy Swan, that name also sounds familiar. I'm sure there's going to be, some added context here in a second, because she revealed to her friend Pasatino, advised her for conversations, White House staff, Trump, fair game, okay. Because every time they ask me a White House communications, question, I made them clarify meeting participants. Yeah, of course, that's what I was saying, okay, because they were trying to get info into the meetings with Trump, but executives' privacy, okay, but Stefan told me if it's White House correspondents plus Trump plus one or more participants, those questions are fair game. Yeah, of course, because Well, it'll be tougher to lie on that one. And as you can see, probably the shush emoji that's there, or a laugh. It's an emoji that's being blocked out right there. I think you're fine. No one has called me, so that's a good sign. Yeah, I'd imagine it's probably a shush. I'm really upset with this. Terribly unfair. You don't do anything other than respond to documents and texts they already had. You don't give them new information. This is bad. I was up until 4 a.m. Couldn't sleep. Jason's people completely ghosted me in the last 2 weeks. So I'm back to square one there. Yeah, it sounds like somebody's throwing a pity party for themselves. She said that Stefan wants to wait until my deposition. Yes, going through on all of that stuff. Lawsuit roads. Miss Hutchinson has admitted that while she did not want to cooperate with the select committee, Mr. Pasatino encouraged her to do so. Yes, of course, because she was going to go tell her truth. Not necessarily the truth, but her truth. During her testimony before the January 6th House Committee, as recorded in official transcripts of her September 14th, 2022 appearance. Maybe that's the one that I remember. Hutchinson said, I want to make this clear to you. Stefan never told me to lie. I just want to make sure that it was clear that he didn't say, I want you to lie. I want you to say, I don't recall on these things when I know you recall. He didn't tell me to lie. He told me not to lie. Yes, exactly. Ask for clarifications. Make sure that you get your narrative out there. I would actually say that that's pretty decent depot prep. If you don't remember everything in detail, don't admit to it, okay? Don't end up catching yourself in a perjury trap, because that's what they're going to try to get you to do. But she ended up skating on that, because if you take a look at the direct testimony that she was mentioning about Trump commandeering the wheel of the beast, that was all third-hand information. Somebody told me this, and I wasn't there specifically, but somebody else was, and that's what I overheard from somebody else saying that as well. And that's all of her testimony. Like, none of it is first-hand information. All of it is, oh, well, I overheard somebody else saying this. It's all hearsay. None of it would be admissible in court, but it makes for a goddamn fine book read, which is ultimately what she ended up getting for testifying to Congress. Fucking weird how that happens, because nobody would have gave a fuck outside of her maybe starting an OnlyFans. So yeah, she ends up getting a book deal, and she gets a primetime TV slot out of it and all the cable news interviews that she can possibly muster. Hopefully she's got enough white pantsuits for people to stare at and remember her by. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.